You don't have trust issues, you have trust internships, they never go full-time. Like your love life is less a romantic comedy and more a psychological thriller, starring you as the unwitting victim? The highs are exhilarating, the lows, well, let's just say they involve a lot of ice cream and questionable late-night internet searches. Is love a roller coaster of ecstasy and agony, or am I just dating the wrong people again? The answer, my friend, might be more complicated than you think. It's a question that delves into the very core of our being, a journey into the shadowy depths of the unconscious. A place where our deepest fears and desires clash, creating a tempest of emotions that can make even the most stable relationships feel like a battlefield. Picture this. You're head over heels, utterly smitten, lost in the intoxicating haze of new love. The world is a vibrant kaleidoscope of shared smiles and stolen kisses. Then, bam! A fight erupts over something ridiculously trivial. The placement of the toilet paper roll, the correct pronunciation of an obscure word, or perhaps the audacity of your partner to breathe. That blissful honeymoon phase crashes and burns, leaving you wondering if you've accidentally signed up for a masochistic boot camp disguised as romance. The intensity is breathtaking, the shift is jarring. It's a roller coaster, indeed. But one that leaves you questioning your sanity and the sanity of the person you thought you knew. This chaotic dance, this perplexing blend of pleasure and pain, isn't just bad luck, it's a complex psychological phenomenon. Carl Jung, the wise old Swiss psychiatrist, understood this perfectly. He believed our shadows, our darker, repressed selves, play a significant role in relationships. Jung believed that love isn't just sunshine and rainbows, it's a potent catalyst that forces us to confront our inner demons. These internal battles often manifest as external conflicts with our partners. It's as if your subconscious is staging a dramatic play, using your significant other as the unwilling leading man or woman, a puppet in a very personal, very messy drama. The intensity of the emotions, the sudden shifts from blissful connection to explosive conflict, can be utterly bewildering. You find yourself questioning everything, your choices, your partner's motives, and even your own sanity. Is this what love is supposed to feel like? A constant battleground where pleasure and pain are inextricably linked? The answer, as Jung would suggest, lies within. It's not simply a matter of bad luck or incompatible personalities, it's a reflection of our own inner turmoil playing out on the stage of our relationships. We project our unresolved issues, insecurities, and deepest fears onto our partners, creating a dynamic that can be both exhilarating and devastating. Think of it as a psychological mirror, reflecting back our own shadows, forcing us to confront the parts of ourselves we'd rather keep hidden. This isn't to say that all relationship conflicts are simply projections. Healthy communication and mutual understanding are crucial. But recognizing the role our unconscious plays can be a powerful first step toward creating more fulfilling and balanced partnerships. It's about understanding that the battlefield isn't just between you and your partner, it's within you. Apparently, happily ever after requires a hefty dose of self-awareness and possibly some serious therapy. It's like trying to assemble IKEA furniture while simultaneously battling a swarm of angry wasps, incredibly frustrating, and you're pretty sure you'll need professional help to get it right. The honeymoon phase, that initial burst of intense connection, often masks deeper, unresolved issues within ourselves. We are so busy basking in the glow of newfound love that we fail to notice the ticking time bomb of our own unaddressed emotional baggage. This isn't to say that love is inherently painful, rather, it's a powerful magnifying glass, illuminating the cracks in our self-perception. It forces us to confront the parts of ourselves we've diligently avoided, often projecting those insecurities onto our partners. The result? Arguments that feel disproportionate to the trigger, a roller coaster of emotions that leaves you exhausted and confused. This isn't about blaming the partner, it's about recognizing the intricate dance between our conscious and unconscious selves. It's about acknowledging that the battlefield isn't just the relationship itself, but the internal landscape we bring to it. We're not just reacting to our partners, we're reacting to our own unresolved emotional conflicts. Think of it as a game of shadow puppets. The more we understand our own inner shadows, the less power they have to manipulate our relationships. Understanding this dynamic doesn't magically resolve every conflict, but it offers a profound shift in perspective. It empowers us to take responsibility for our own emotional responses and to approach our relationships with greater self-awareness and compassion. Your perfectionism, while thinking it's being thorough, is actually just being obsessive. We all know that feeling, right? That overwhelming urge to make everything perfect, even if it means sacrificing sleep, sanity, and possibly your social life. It's a familiar dance, this relentless pursuit of flawlessness, often disguised as productivity or self-improvement. But what if I told you that this very drive, this need for perfection, might be sabotaging your relationships? Think about it. How often does your need for control spill over into your relationships? Do you find yourself micromanaging your partner, constantly correcting their flaws, or becoming frustrated when things don't meet your impossibly high standards? This isn't about being a neat freak. It's about a deeper-seated fear of imperfection, a fear that often manifests as criticism and control in our closest relationships. It's a subtle form of self-sabotage, a way of pushing people away before they can see the imperfect parts of you. It's like building a magnificent sandcastle only to tear it down with your own hands. Because a single grain is out of place. This constant striving for unattainable perfection creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you try to control everything, the more likely you are to create chaos and push people away. This, my friends, is where Jung's concept of the shadow self comes into play. That nagging voice that whispers doubts and insecurities? That's your shadow. And in relationships, it often projects itself onto our partners, creating conflict where none might otherwise exist. It's as if your shadow self is a mischievous gremlin, constantly pulling strings to ensure your relationship stays just a little bit dysfunctional. It's a fascinating and slightly terrifying thought, isn't it? The idea that our own inner demons might be the biggest obstacle to our happiness. But the good news is, once you identify your shadow, you can begin to integrate it, understand it, and ultimately, tame it. It's a journey of self-discovery, a process of accepting your imperfections and allowing others to do the same. So, back to those relationship battles. Remember that feeling of being head over heels, only to find yourself embroiled in a ridiculous argument about, say, the correct way to load a dishwasher? That's your shadow self at work, subtly sabotaging what you crave. It's not about the dishes, it's about underlying anxieties, the fear of vulnerability, and the deep-seated need for control. It's as if your inner critic has commandeered the microphone, broadcasting insecurities disguised as perfectly reasonable complaints. Your subconscious is a master manipulator, turning a simple domestic chore into a full-blown emotional showdown. It's exhausting and, honestly, a little darkly comedic. Think of it as a dramatic performance, a play where your shadow self is the director, writer, and lead actor all rolled into one. And you, my friend, are the unfortunate audience member, forced to watch the show unfold. It's time to take a seat in the director's chair, wouldn't you say? After all, you are the only one who can rewrite the script. It's a strange thing, isn't it? We crave connection, intimacy, and the warmth of a loving relationship. Yet we often find ourselves behaving in ways that sabotage it. We build walls, create drama, and pick fights over trivial matters. It's as if we have a built-in self-destruct mechanism designed to keep us safe from what we desire most. Think of it like this: your heart wants a delicious gourmet meal. But your shadow self keeps ordering only spicy ramen, even when your stomach is already burning. Why? Because, somewhere deep down, that spicy ramen, the drama, the conflict, feels familiar, even comforting. It's a twisted sense of control, a way of avoiding the vulnerability that true intimacy requires. It's a defense mechanism, a way of keeping the outside world at arm's length, preventing the risk of heartbreak. The irony, of course, is that this self-protective behavior pushes people away, creating the very vulnerability we fear. It's a vicious cycle, a never-ending loop of self-sabotage, a psychological game of whack-a-mole, where every problem solved is replaced by another, even more annoying one. But here's the twist. Understanding this doesn't mean you are doomed to a life of relationship drama. It simply means you have the power to rewrite your script. You're not a puppet at the mercy of your shadow self. You're the puppeteer. You can choose to step back, observe your behavior, and begin to understand the root causes of your actions. It's like learning to code your own subconscious. Instead of letting the gremlins run the show, you can finally take control. And that, my friend, is the first step toward a more fulfilling and less spicy love life. Jung believed that until we confront our inner demons, those shadowy aspects of ourselves, we will project them onto our partners, creating unnecessary conflict. It's like having a roommate who constantly leaves dirty dishes in the sink. It's not just annoying, it reflects their own inner chaos. You can clean up after them. But until they address their mess, the problem will persist. In relationships, that mess often manifests as jealousy, insecurity, or controlling behavior. Think about it. How many times have you fought with a partner about something seemingly trivial, only to realize later that the real issue was something much deeper, something you weren't even consciously aware of? It's as if your subconscious is playing a game of telephone, whispering distorted messages through your actions and words. The message becomes garbled, and before you know it, you're arguing about whose turn it is to do the dishes when the real issue is a deep-seated fear of abandonment. And your partner, bless their heart, is left bewildered, wondering what they did wrong. It's a messy, emotional game of hide and seek, isn't it? We often mistake our shadow selves for our partner's flaws, blaming them for our own internal turmoil. We project our insecurities, anxieties, and deepest fears onto the person we supposedly love most. It's a classic case of mistaken identity. We see the monster in our partner's reflection when, in reality, the monster is staring back at us from the mirror. This isn't to say that relationships are always a battleground. Far from it. But understanding the role our shadow selves play can help us navigate conflict more effectively, with more compassion and less blame. It's about recognizing that the drama isn't just out there, it's in here, too. It's about acknowledging that we are all a bit broken, a bit messy, a bit shadowy. And that's okay. In fact, it's part of what makes us human. The challenge is learning to embrace those parts of ourselves, rather than projecting them onto others. It's like finally admitting you're not a superhero, but a flawed human being who's just trying to figure things out, one slightly chaotic relationship at a time. And that's where the real growth happens, right? Because let's be honest, happily ever after usually involves a whole lot of self-discovery and maybe a few rounds of couples therapy. And that, my friends, is the beauty of it all. The humor in the struggle, the growth in the chaos, the love in the mess. Imagine love as a wrestling match between your ego, the shiny, confident you, and your shadow, the grumpy, insecure you. Your partner becomes the unwitting referee, caught in the crossfire of your internal struggle. The pleasure comes from connection and intimacy. The punishment comes from the self-sabotage and insecurities we project. This internal wrestling match manifests in arguments, jealousy, and emotional manipulation. It's like a bizarre, emotional game of tag where your insecurities are it, and your partner is the unfortunate person who keeps getting tagged. Sometimes, the shadow wins, leaving you feeling defeated and misunderstood. Other times, the ego triumphs, creating a false sense of control and leaving you feeling emotionally drained. Jung would argue that the key is not to eliminate the shadow, but to integrate it, to understand its motivations and bring it into the light of conscious awareness. It's not about becoming a perfect, flawless being, but about becoming a more whole, more authentic one. Because, let's face it, perfection is boring. A little bit of shadow adds spice to life, doesn't it? Think of it as adding a dash of paprika to your otherwise bland existence, a little darkness to highlight the light, a little chaos to appreciate the calm. And remember, your subconscious is always watching, always commenting, always adding its own spicy commentary. It's like having a tiny, cynical director in your head, constantly narrating your life choices and judging your outfit choices. It's the ultimate judgmental friend you can't get rid of. This internal wrestling match, as I mentioned, manifests in arguments, jealousy, and emotional manipulation. It's a messy, chaotic dance, a tango with your own inner demons, with your partner unwittingly caught in the middle. Think of it like a game of emotional hot potato. You're desperately trying to avoid confronting your own insecurities, so you toss them to your partner instead. This isn't to say that your partner is blameless. They might have their own shadows to wrestle with. But understanding the role your own inner turmoil plays in the dynamic can be incredibly freeing. It shifts the focus from blaming external forces to taking responsibility for your own emotional landscape. It's like finally realizing that the monster under your bed isn't actually a monster, but a reflection of your own anxieties. Suddenly, the scary monster becomes a lot less terrifying, and you can finally address the real issue instead of running and hiding. It's a process of self-discovery that might be painful, but ultimately rewarding. Because the truth is, Even the most seemingly flawless relationships have their moments of chaos and conflict. It's what you do with those moments that defines the relationship. And that, my friends, is where the real magic happens. It's about understanding the dance between your conscious desires and your unconscious anxieties. Think of it like this: your conscious mind is the meticulously planned itinerary for a dream vacation. But your unconscious is the mischievous travel agent who keeps sneaking in surprise detours to unexpected and often unsettling locations. Sometimes, those detours lead to breathtaking hidden gems. But other times, well, let's just say you end up stranded in a questionable roadside motel. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of integrating those hidden, often unpleasant parts of ourselves into a more whole and complete picture. It's not about eradicating the shadow, it's about understanding it, accepting it, and even learning to appreciate its unique contributions to the overall masterpiece of your personality. Your shadow isn't your enemy, it's a misunderstood friend with seriously dramatic flair. And your partner? They're just along for the wild ride. It's a bit like learning to tango with your own inner demons. It's messy, challenging, and sometimes you'll trip and fall, maybe even land on your partner's toes. But the grace and beauty of the dance come from mastering the steps, from understanding the rhythm of your own inner chaos. The beauty lies in embracing the unexpected, accepting the imperfections. Because, in the end, the imperfections make the dance uniquely yours and uniquely beautiful. It's not about achieving some unrealistic ideal of perfection. It's about embracing the beautiful messiness of life, love, and your own wonderfully flawed self. Because, let's face it, perfect is boring. A little chaos, a little shadow, makes life far more interesting, and relationships, dare I say, more authentic. It's a journey of self-discovery, a quest to understand the hidden landscapes of your own psyche. Think of it like exploring a vast, unexplored jungle. Your conscious mind is the well-trodden path, familiar and safe. But the shadow self? That's the dense, tangled undergrowth, full of surprises, both terrifying and exhilarating. Navigating this internal landscape requires courage, curiosity, and self-compassion. You will stumble, get lost, and might even encounter unpleasant creatures lurking in the shadows. But the rewards are a deeper understanding of yourself, a stronger sense of self, and a more authentic connection with others. Confronting your shadows makes you more whole and allows you to appreciate the light more. It's a paradoxical dance, a thrilling tango between light and darkness, pleasure and pain, where beauty lies in embracing the entire spectrum of human experience. It's not about eliminating the darkness, but integrating, understanding, and finding beauty in its complexity. Life without a little darkness would be incredibly dull. The shadows give the light its brilliance. The same is true of love. Challenges, conflicts, and moments of darkness highlight the brilliance of the connection, the intensity of the passion, and the profound beauty of authentic love. It's a messy, beautiful, and utterly human experience. Jung also believed our relationships act as mirrors, reflecting our own unresolved inner conflicts. We often attract partners embodying aspects of ourselves we've suppressed or denied. It's a strange cosmic joke. We unconsciously seek what we're trying to avoid. For example, if you fear commitment, you might repeatedly choose emotionally unavailable partners. It's not about there being bad people, but about subconsciously recreating a familiar, albeit painful, dynamic, a twisted self-fulfilling prophecy. This is not to say that all relationship problems stem from unresolved inner conflicts, of course. Sometimes, it's simply bad chemistry, sometimes, it's genuinely incompatible values. But often, understanding your own shadow self can illuminate patterns of behavior that might otherwise remain hidden, sabotaging relationships before they even have a chance to flourish. It's about taking responsibility for your part in the dynamic, understanding your own triggers, and learning healthier ways to navigate conflict. It's a journey of self-awareness, not self-blame. It's about growing, evolving, and becoming a more integrated, whole person. And that, my friends, is a journey worth taking. Because the most fulfilling relationships are built not on escaping our shadows, but on embracing them. Apparently, happily ever after requires a hefty dose of self-awareness and possibly some serious therapy. It's like trying to assemble IKEA furniture while simultaneously battling a swarm of particularly aggressive gnats, frustrating, chaotic, and you're bound to end up with a few extra screws. The good news is, once you understand the instructions, your shadow self, the process becomes a little less maddening. The journey may be messy, and it may feel like you're constantly tripping over your own emotional baggage. But that's okay. The stumbles are part of the process. They are the moments that reveal your blind spots, the cracks in your armor that need mending. As you navigate this landscape of self-discovery, you'll find yourself becoming more resilient, more self-aware, and more capable of building healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Because healthy relationships aren't about finding a perfect partner. They're about becoming a better you. A you who is comfortable in your own skin, flaws and all. Let's be honest, nobody's perfect, and expecting perfection is a recipe for disappointment and many awkward arguments. The process of individuation, as Jung called it, is less about finding the perfect partner and more about becoming a better you. Or at least, a more integrated, self-aware version. Think of it like building a house. You wouldn't just slap together random bricks and hope for the best, would you? You'd need a solid foundation, strong walls, and a roof that doesn't leak. Similarly, a healthy relationship needs a solid foundation built on self-understanding. You need to know your own strengths and weaknesses, your triggers and insecurities, before you can build a truly lasting connection with someone else. It's not about becoming a flawless, emotionless robot, but about understanding your own emotional landscape. It's about acknowledging those pesky insecurities, those shadowy aspects of yourself that you might usually try to hide, the ones that whisper doubts in your ear, the ones that make you overreact or act out in ways you later regret. Ignoring them doesn't make them disappear. It only makes them louder and more likely to sabotage your relationships. It's like trying to silence a screaming toddler by stuffing a pillow in their mouth. It might work temporarily, but it's not a healthy solution. The key is to understand why they're screaming in the first place. What needs are unmet? What fears are driving this behavior? It's about embracing the messy, complicated parts of yourself, the parts that make you uniquely you. Think of your shadow self as that quirky, slightly embarrassing uncle you only see at family gatherings. He might be loud, inappropriate, and a little embarrassing. But he's still part of the family. And sometimes, he even cracks the best jokes. Integrating your shadow isn't about erasing him. It's about finding a way to include him in the family photo without letting him steal the show. This journey of self-discovery isn't always easy. It's like learning to ride a bicycle. There will be wobbles, falls, and maybe even a few scraped knees. But with each stumble, you learn to balance better, to trust your instincts, and to appreciate the thrill of the ride. And the view from the top is always worth the effort. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate conflict entirely. That's unrealistic. It's about learning to navigate it with grace, understanding, and a healthy dose of self-compassion. Because, let's face it, sometimes we all act like toddlers throwing tantrums in the candy aisle. The beauty of Jung's work lies in its ability to transform seemingly destructive patterns into opportunities for growth. It's about turning the battlefield of love into a training ground for self-awareness. It's about recognizing that the fight isn't against your partner, but against your own inner demons. And when you start to win those battles, you win at love, too. Because a more self-aware you is a more loving you, a more resilient you, a more authentic you. And that's the kind of person who builds lasting, fulfilling relationships built not on fantasy, but on a solid foundation of self-knowledge. And maybe, just maybe, a few well-placed jokes to diffuse the tension. Because even in the midst of chaos, humor can be a powerful tool for connection and healing. The pleasure comes from connection and intimacy, the punishment, from the self-sabotage and insecurities we project. This internal wrestling match manifests in arguments, jealousy, and emotional manipulation. It's a messy, chaotic dance. But it's also a dance that can lead to profound self-discovery. Think of it like this. Your ego is a meticulously groomed garden, perfectly manicured and pristine. Your shadow, however, is the untamed wilderness beyond the fence, full of wild, untamed energy and hidden beauty. The challenge is not to eradicate the wilderness, but to integrate it into your garden. To find a balance between the cultivated and the wild, the controlled and the free. This isn't about suppressing your shadow, it's about understanding, accepting, and even celebrating its unique contributions. After all, even the most meticulously planned garden benefits from a touch of wildness. It adds texture, depth, and unexpected beauty. And sometimes, that unexpected beauty truly captivates us. The untamed parts of ourselves, the parts we try to hide, often hold the key to unlocking deeper connections and more fulfilling relationships. Because true intimacy isn't about presenting a flawless facade. It's about embracing the whole package, the manicured garden and the untamed wilderness, all rolled into one. And that, my friend, is a truly beautiful thing. It's a journey of self-discovery, not a destination. Think of it like learning to surf. You'll wipe out a few times, get tossed around by the waves, and maybe even swallow a mouthful of salt water. But with each fall, you learn more about the ocean, about yourself, and about how to ride the waves with grace and skill. The key is not to fight the waves, but to learn to move with them, to understand their rhythm and power. And that, in essence, is the heart of Jungian psychology in relationships. Learning to dance with your inner chaos, rather than battling against it. The more you understand your own shadow self, the more compassion you'll have for yourself and, ultimately, for your partner. Sensing the rhythm of the waves promises renewal. Relationships aren't about finding a perfect person. They're about finding someone who accepts your imperfections, someone who dances with you through storms, someone who sees beauty in your wildness, and appreciates the meticulous care you take cultivating your garden. The battlefield isn't just external, in conflicts with your partner, but also internal, within your soul. Sometimes, that internal battle is the most rewarding. The prize isn't a perfect relationship, but a more complete, authentic, and loving version of yourself. It's about becoming your best self, not just for your partner, but for you. That's a journey worth taking, even if it's messy. This dance between light and shadow, between ego and shadow self, is a lifelong process. It's not a quick fix, a magic spell to banish conflict. It's a continuous negotiation, a constant recalibration. Think of it like a garden. You nurture the beautiful flowers, but you also acknowledge the weeds, understanding that they play a role in the ecosystem. You don't eradicate them entirely, you manage them, learning to coexist with the less desirable aspects of your inner landscape. This is key to understanding the pleasure and punishment dynamic in relationships. It's not about eliminating the punishment, but about understanding its source and integrating it into a more balanced whole, sensing the grounded strength offered by steady support. This isn't to say that all conflict is healthy or desirable. Some relationships are toxic, and those require a different approach. But many conflicts arise from the shadow self's attempts to assert itself, to be seen, and to be understood. When we project our insecurities onto our partners, we create conflict. However, we also create an opportunity for growth. It's a chance to understand our own patterns, recognize our own triggers, and learn to respond more consciously and compassionately to ourselves and our loved ones. The goal isn't to eliminate conflict entirely, but to transform it from a destructive force into a catalyst for self-awareness and personal growth. It's about understanding that the battle isn't against your partner, but against your own internal demons. And that, my friend, is a battle worth fighting. Your perfectionism thinks it's being thorough when it's actually just being obsessive. That's a pretty accurate description of many of us, isn't it? We strive for flawlessness, convinced that anything less is a catastrophic failure. But what if that very pursuit of perfection is the source of our deepest anxieties? We are so busy polishing the surface that we ignore the cracks within. This brings us back to Jung and the concept of the shadow self. It's not just about our dark impulses. It's about the parts of ourselves we actively try to suppress, the insecurities, imperfections, and vulnerabilities we deem unacceptable. In relationships, these suppressed aspects often manifest as unexpected outbursts, irrational jealousy, or a relentless need for control. We project these unacceptable parts onto our partners, often blaming them for our own internal struggles. It's a subtle form of self-sabotage, a way of avoiding the uncomfortable task of confronting our own shadows. Jung would argue that true intimacy involves integrating these shadow aspects, accepting our imperfections, and allowing our partners to see the full spectrum of who we are. It's about embracing the imperfect parts, acknowledging that we are not flawless, and that's okay. It's about understanding that our vulnerabilities are not weaknesses, but sources of strength and connection. It's not about eliminating imperfections, but about understanding their place within ourselves and how they influence our interactions with others. Only then can we truly connect with another person on a deep and meaningful level. It's about accepting that even the most polished surfaces have a few cracks underneath. Sometimes, those cracks are where the most beautiful light shines through. Perfectionism, however, often masquerades as thoroughness while actually being obsessive. We all strive for that picture-perfect relationship, that fairy tale ending, don't we? But what happens when reality falls short? What happens when the cracks in our own foundations begin to show? Jung believed that our relationships act as mirrors, reflecting not only our strengths, but also our hidden insecurities. It's like looking into a funhouse mirror. The reflection is distorted, exaggerated, and often unsettling. We see aspects of ourselves we'd rather ignore, amplified by another person's presence. The honeymoon phase is like the initial thrill of the funhouse, all bright lights and exciting distortions. But as the novelty wears off, the distortions become more apparent and more difficult to ignore. Suddenly, those minor flaws are magnified, creating conflict where none seemed to exist before. This is not to say that all relationship problems stem from internal issues. External factors undoubtedly play a role. However, Jung's concept of the shadow self offers a valuable framework for understanding our part in the dynamic. It's about recognizing that our insecurities and vulnerabilities are not weaknesses, but rather integral parts of our being. They are not things to be hidden or suppressed, but aspects that need to be understood and integrated into a more complete sense of self. It's a journey of self-discovery, a process of accepting our imperfections, and embracing the messy, beautiful reality of being human. Ignoring the shadow only strengthens it, leading to more dramatic and often destructive conflicts in our relationships. The key is not to eliminate the shadow, but to bring it into the light, to integrate it into the whole. It's like trying to paint a masterpiece with only half the colors. The result will always be incomplete. The turning point arrives not with a bang, but a quiet whisper of understanding. It's not a sudden epiphany, but a gradual dawning of awareness. You begin to notice a pattern. The same arguments, the same insecurities, the same self-destructive behaviors repeating themselves. It's like a broken record stuck on repeat, the needle scratching across the grooves of your psyche. Suddenly, your partner isn't the villain in this drama. They're just a character, albeit a significant one, in your own internal struggle. This realization is both terrifying and liberating. It is terrifying because it exposes your vulnerabilities, your flaws, and your shadow self. It is liberating because it shifts the blame from them to you, empowering you to take control of your narrative. This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about accepting responsibility for your actions and emotions. It's about understanding that these conflicts aren't random events, but symptoms of a deeper internal struggle. Think of it like a car with a faulty engine. You can keep blaming the road, the weather, or other drivers, but until you fix the engine, the problems will persist. In this analogy, your relationships are the road trip, and your shadow self is the faulty engine. You can't ignore the problem and hope it goes away. You must get under the hood, identify the issue, and begin fixing it. And that, my friend, is the beginning of true growth. The journey toward wholeness begins with self-awareness and the courage to confront our inner demons and integrate them into our conscious lives. It's a challenging, but ultimately rewarding path. This newfound self-awareness doesn't magically erase the conflicts, it simply reframes them. Arguments become opportunities for self-reflection, not just battles to be won or lost. Suddenly, those intense fights, once felt as personal attacks, transform into clues, breadcrumbs leading you deeper into the labyrinth of your own psyche. It's like learning a secret language, deciphering the cryptic messages your subconscious constantly broadcasts. The emotional rollercoaster remains. But now you're equipped with a map, a compass, and perhaps even a slightly battered handbook on navigating your inner demons. Sensing warmth seemed to call her toward brighter moments. The journey isn't about eliminating conflict, but about understanding its root cause. It's about learning to dance with your shadow self, not fight it. This is the beginning of individuation, a process Jung described as integrating all aspects of your personality, including the darker ones, into a unified whole. It's like creating a masterpiece with all the colors, not just the pretty ones, a true masterpiece, not a pale imitation. It's about embracing the whole spectrum of human experience, the light and the dark, the joy and the sorrow, the triumphs and the failures. Only then can you truly appreciate the full richness of life and love in all its messy, complicated glory. And that, my friend, is a love worth fighting for, or, perhaps more accurately, a love worth understanding. The realization dawns slowly like the sunrise after a long, stormy night. It's not a sudden epiphany, but a gradual shift in perspective. You begin to see the patterns, the recurring themes in your relationship conflicts. The same insecurities, the same anxieties, the same self-sabotaging behaviors keep reappearing, like a persistent, annoying jingle stuck in your head. It's exhausting, this constant internal battle. And then, the breakthrough. The battlefield isn't just your partner, it's within you. The fight isn't about them, it's about you. It's about confronting the shadows you've diligently ignored, the parts of yourself you've kept locked away in the dusty attic of your subconscious. This isn't about blame, it's about responsibility. It's about taking ownership of your own emotional baggage instead of dumping it at your partner's feet. It's about acknowledging your own imperfections and understanding that they aren't necessarily something to be ashamed of, but rather, something to be understood and integrated. This isn't to say that healthy relationships are devoid of conflict. Disagreements are inevitable. But with this new understanding, conflict transforms. It's no longer a sign of failure, but an opportunity for growth, a chance to delve deeper into the complexities of your own being, and to strengthen the bonds of connection with your partner. It's about understanding the dance between your ego and your shadow self, and learning to lead that dance with grace and self-awareness. It's a journey of self-discovery, disguised as a relationship, a challenging, but ultimately rewarding one. Love, it's not always a picnic, but at least it's a really dramatic one. A rollercoaster of highs and lows, a tango of connection and conflict, a wrestling match between your ego and your shadow self. It's messy, complicated, and often utterly exhausting. But within that messiness, within that chaos, lies the potential for profound growth and understanding. It's in those intense, sometimes painful, moments of conflict that we truly get to know ourselves. We discover the hidden depths of our own psyche, the insecurities we project onto others, and the unmet needs we try to fill through external validation. It's a journey into the heart of darkness, and the light that shines through is all the more radiant for it. We often think of love as a destination, a happily ever after. But perhaps it's more accurate to view it as a continuous journey, a lifelong process of self-discovery. And that journey, my friends, is rarely straightforward. It's filled with detours, unexpected twists, and moments where you're tempted to throw your hands up in exasperation and run screaming in the opposite direction. But it's also filled with moments of profound connection, shared laughter, unexpected tenderness, and moments where you feel truly seen and understood. The messy, complicated glory of it all. And that, my friend, is a love worth fighting for, a love worth understanding, a love worth the dramatic, sometimes painful, journey. Because in the end, the most rewarding battles are the ones we fight within ourselves. So, next time you find yourself in a relationship spat, instead of immediately reaching for the metaphorical grenade launcher, or, the silent treatment, try a different approach. Instead of blaming your partner for triggering your inner demons, acknowledge their presence. See them, name them, and maybe even give them a silly nickname. Is it the perfectionist piranha gnawing at your self-esteem, or the control freak kraken trying to pull you under? Give those inner gremlins a voice, and watch how much less power they suddenly have. Think of it as a form of emotional aikido, redirecting negative energy back onto oneself for self-understanding. This isn't about magically resolving all conflict, it's about understanding why conflict arises. It's about turning the battlefield into a training ground for emotional intelligence, about growing together, even, and especially, through the messy bits. Sensing warmth, she seemed drawn toward brighter moments. Let's face it, the only constant in a relationship is change. Sometimes, that change comes in the form of a spectacular, emotionally charged showdown. But even the most dramatic fights can become testaments to resilience, the ability to navigate complexity, and the capacity for growth. The real victory isn't avoiding conflict. It's understanding your inner world and dancing with your shadow self, gracefully and with a touch of self-deprecating humor. So, are you ready to face your inner monsters? Let's discuss in the comments. Your perfectionism might think it's being thorough, but it's actually being obsessive. We all have those moments, right? We meticulously plan every detail, only to realize we've spent more time organizing the picnic basket than enjoying the picnic. That's the shadow self at work. It's the part of us that craves control, fears imperfection, and often sabotages our own happiness. It's a fascinating, and sometimes hilarious, paradox. We strive for perfection, yet the pursuit often leaves us feeling anything but. This brings us to the concept of the shadow self, a cornerstone of Carl Jung's analytical psychology. Jung believed that we all possess a shadow self, a collection of repressed emotions, instincts, and desires that we keep hidden from ourselves and others. Think of it as your subconscious personal junk drawer, filled with all the things you'd rather not acknowledge. And let's be honest, sometimes that junk drawer overflows with questionable choices and questionable fashion trends from your past. It's not all bad news, though. Jung argued that confronting and integrating our shadow selves is crucial for personal growth and psychological well-being. It's about acknowledging those parts of ourselves that we find uncomfortable or even shameful, and finding a way to incorporate them into our overall sense of self. It's not about erasing them, it's about understanding them. Think of it this way: your shadow self is like that one embarrassing song you secretly love to sing along to when no one is around. Ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It simply means you're missing out on a chance to laugh at your own expense. And honestly, isn't that a key ingredient in a fulfilling life? The ability to laugh at yourself, even, and especially, when wrestling with your inner demons. Because sometimes, the best way to conquer your shadow is to embrace its absurdity. So, what's lurking in your own personal junk drawer? Let's chat in the comments. What do you think? Anyone with similar experiences, please comment below and check out the full video via the link below.